Hey guys, it's me Digit and welcome back to my channel. Today, we will be talking about Monster High, most specifically, the classic web and video games that were created. Whether you're a fan or not of Monster High, I'm sure you've at least heard of it once. If you grew up in the 2010s, then you would know how much of a big deal Monster High was back in the day. I remember the days of going into places like Toys R Us, Asda, or just any shop that had a toy aisle and seeing huge Monster High display sections. This is not to say that classic Monster High has fallen out of relevance. It still maintains an extremely active fanbase to this day. Monster High ventured out to other things, from clothing, room decor, water bottles, perfumes, and of course video games. Much like most medias in the early 2000s and 2010s, back then it was common for many companies to create licensed video games of popular media around that time. Given Monster High's influence at that time, they were bound to have their own games. So why don't we look back at them together? Before we start, I just wanted to make a quick note that this video will only focus on the old games released until the year 2015. Nothing after that counts, so the current Monster High reboot will not be on the list. I'd also like to add that this video is inspired by Shanks's I Played Every My Little Pony game video, so all credits go to her. Other than that, let's dive into this video. To save time, I will go in order from web games to video games, considering that there are more web games than console games. The first web game to be created was called Monster Freak Out, released in July of 2010. This was your standard card game, in which you are given a deck of cards and are tasked to fit matches found on screen. It's pretty much just your standard game of Snap. There's no time limit, just that the game ends when you eventually run out of moves to use. Safe to say, it's fairly easy, taking in account that this was a part of the early wave of browser games. I don't expect it to be anything too complex. The second game to be released that month was Make a Monster High album and activity book. Much like the title entails, this allowed players to make their own album and several more fun stuff. Sadly, for this one, I couldn't find any accessible way to play the game, nor could I find any gameplays on YouTube, so I had to settle with just these screenshots. Some of the games released after this could be considered reskins of the activity book, but with different tasks, such as Bookmark Maker, where you can make your own bookmark, decorate your Monster High locker, and create your own class photo and ID card. Froggy Dash is a game which follows the story of the webisode Freedom Fright, where Laguna frees a bunch of frogs in her science class before they can be dissected. In this, you play as the frogs and it's up to you to lead them to safety. The layout instantly reminded me of games like Frogger and Crossy Roads. Throughout this, you will notice a pattern of many games being inspired by webisodes, different lines, or movies. Speaking of which, here is Dawn of the Dance, based on the dolls of the earliest waves in the series. It's a simple dance game. Choose a character and make them dance to the Monster High theme tune. Whilst I like this line of dolls, I can't say the same for the game. It was really laggy and kind of slow. Plus you only have an option of up to 3 characters to choose from. Pom Pom Panic, which is loosely based off New Ghoul in School. It's easy. One of the fear leaders will do a move, and you must make Frankie do the correct one. There is a fear power meter which allows you to get extra points. But besides, that's all there is to the game. Claudine's Creme Fest follows the plot of Copy K9. You must help the ghouls pass notes to Claudine before time runs out. Unlike the other games, this game does feature a time limit and you must be sneaky so Mr. Ware doesn't see you. It does sometimes get rather challenging since he disappears and reappears where you least expect him to, and if he catches you, it's game over. I remember having so much fun playing this as a kid and find this one a lot more enjoyable than the other game. I think the best part about this game was probably reading the notes left by the ghouls. Casketball Queen follows Deuce and Cleo. Deuce gets injured, so you must play as Cleo for the casketball tournament. It's another one of those games where you hold down the arrow keys to make the character jump or run as fast as they can. Ghoul Juice. Play as Ghoulia's pet owl Sir Hoots a lot, with the objective being you must hit as much of the fruits as possible to get the ingredients for a zombie drink. Monster Mail, a simple game where you click and drop assets to make your own postcards. Now for Freaky Footwork. This game was made next to the release of the Scream uniform line, which just consisted of a line of sports uniforms. However, only outfits for Deuce, Claudine, Laguna, and Frankie were made as part of this release. Had similar issues with the other games. Once again, there was no way for me to show gameplay as the game wasn't supported by Safari and there was no YouTube Let's Plays of it. But to give you an idea of it, you chose one of the ghouls to play as, and must try to score as much goals as you can. Each character has different special items. Frankie has a needle and thread, Claudine has a blow dryer, and Laguna has these water drops. It is kind of frustrating I am unable to play some of these games, but given how old they are, it makes sense. Scary Sun was another game that was used to promote the Gloom Beach dolls. Draculaura has lost her sunscreen, so you must help her find it. On the way, you must defeat crab enemies and collect these blue seashells along the way. The levels get harder, and the game ends when you run run out of umbrellas. Personally, one of my favorite web games on here. Pyramid. The objective is to jump on all the pyramid tiles to turn them pink. There are a few enemies such as other mummies and scarabs. There's special power-up you can get to help you like Deuce, turning the enemies into stone. There's also Cleo's pet snake Cassette who gives you bonus points and turns the tiles blue. Creepateria food fight. Just like any average food fight game, throw food at other students without getting hit. Scholastic survival. A game which I don't remember at all. You have many games to complete before your class is over, with most objectives being inspired by several subjects at Monster High, including home ec, physical education, and biology. When the game is over, it gives you your passing grade and overall score. Now moving on from here, you will notice a pattern of most games being inspired by TV specials and movies. I'll try my best not to spend too much time on them, since most are just reskins of each other. Scary Sweet Memories and Driver's Dread are two games inspired by the TV special and doll line Draculaura's Sweet 1600. Following parts of the plot: Scary Sweet Memories, you play as Claude. There are 3 levels in which Claude must navigate his way through the catacombs to catch up to Tora Eli, who's stolen Draculaura's presents. Now Driver's Dread. I don't care how many times I play this game, I'm just awful at it. The aim of the game is to park Draculaura's car in the parking spots on the screen. I don't know what it was about this game, but every time I played it, I always lost, despite it being so bare bones and simple that I just ended up quitting and not trying again. Fantastic Rescue is based off Escape from Skull Shores. It's a simple platformer where you play as Laguna, where you swim around and collect coins along the way. It's very simplistic and there's nothing else to it, and the enemy crabs don't really do much damage either. Freaky Fab Photo Shoot is like any old dress-up game. Only difference is, this is an official dress-up game. Unlike those bootleg unlicensed games from sites like Starsu.net. Phantom Roller, another game that was made to promote a movie, this time, Friday Night Frights. The game is like Scary Sweet Memories and Fantastic Rescue, and even used the same assets and backgrounds from Scary Sweet. Trick or Trance, the only game made for the release of Ghouls Rule. Easily one of my favorite movies next to 13 Wishes. And it's, you guessed it, another side-scroller. I feel like during this time with the release of TV specials and movies, this is where the web games kinda went downhill and just started to become lazy. Yes, earlier games were reskins or copies of already existing games and or concepts we've seen before, but there was some charm or creativity to them. Here they seem as if the game developers didn't seem to care at all. But that's just me. Who's that ghoul? Complete 5 puzzles in exchange for mean pictures. And finally, we have the last and final Gen 1 web game to be released, and that is Secret Creepers. Secret Creepers were a spin-off line based around the pets of the Monster High characters. For anyone that didn't know, each Monster High doll came with their own little pet. Despite my gripes about the creators seemingly not caring about the web games, for a final game, I had so much fun playing this. It's a point-and-click adventure game, and it gives you several hints and clever clues to finding out what each item could mean or what it could be used for. There are only the same 3 levels, with all of which taking place in the classrooms and the catacombs. Now, the video games. Originally, this video was just going to be based around the video games only, but since there's only 4, I wanted to add the web games too. Starting off, we have Ghoul Spirit. This was released in 2011 and was compatible for the Nintendo DS, the DSi, and the Nintendo Wii. Within this game, you can create your own Monster High character and go around the school doing fetch quests and completing mini-games for different characters. Befriending more people and completing more tasks as possible fills up something called the Ghoul Spirit meter just in time for the Terror Under the Sea dance. Despite both being released on Nintendo consoles, both the Nintendo version and Wii are notably different in terms of graphics and smaller things such as not being able to take pictures on the Wii version. Much like the first few browser games of Monster High, this game has its flaws. Given that this was years before the movies came out, of course it's not going to be perfect. This game is known to have mixed reviews from people. For example, the whole design of the game and Monster High itself derives inspiration from the webisodes, which to me looks kinda strange in 3D. It seems off, and doesn't really work at all. It looks kinda strange and out of place. The character creation options are also super limited in terms of species and outfits too. You only have up to 5 monster options ranging from mummies, werewolves, zombies, vampires, and a mashup monster. Heck, there is only up to 3 hairstyles to only 3 outfits. After you finish this game and completed most of the tasks, there isn't anything else to do. There are no other places you can go apart from the school grounds, and I remember whenever I tried to leave the school it wouldn't let me. I've seen a few Let's Players not even bothering to finish this game, with most complaints being about how boring it is. However, it gives me a sense of nostalgia since this was the first Monster High video game I owned. But other than that, nothing more I can say. Next, we have Skulltimate Roller Maze released in 2013, created to promote the movie Friday Night Frights. It was made for the Nintendo Wii, the Nintendo DS, the DSi, and the Nintendo 3DS. This is a racer game that doesn't really follow a plot. You can choose up to 12 characters to play, and there's 8 tracks to choose from. However, 2 of the tracks are exclusive for the 3DS. The only positive I have is that I like how the roster of characters they have super big. The game also allows you to choose your own team, and you can switch between characters whenever you interact with each character skillet on the racetrack. 13 Wishes, taken from the movie of the same name, follows an alternate ending, where Wisp takes control of Monster High and gets Howleen to make her all-powerful. Sorry to say, but this is probably the worst out of all the video games. The running cycle is extremely slow, gameplay lacks variety. Monster High and inside the lamp itself is extremely desolate and there's not much to do. Fight scenes are extremely drawn out and the actual boss battle with Wisp is severely underwhelming. Given how action-packed and how interesting 13 Wishes as a movie is, it was kinda sad that the game was such a letdown for me because I wanted to like it so bad. And finally, we have New Ghoul in School. Out of all the video game releases, this game is probably the best, and for good reasons. Released on the Wii, the Wii U, the DS, the DSi, PC, PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, this is what I like to call the better version of Ghoul's Spirit. The character customization options are better, the gameplay feels less awkward and feels more natural. Monster High itself looks a lot better in terms of design, which I always thought it looked a lot better in 3D than it did in the webisodes. There is a lot more characters you can talk to, some of which haven't appeared in previous games like Genifire, Manitor, Elisa Bat, and Caddy Noir. There is an overarching story for this game. Frankie and the player must help free the school from a curse caused by this magic amulet. Despite there being fetch quests and different mini-games, the game still operates like how a school does, with you having to attend different classes during the day and are encouraged to join many different clubs such as the Student Council, Robotics Club, or the Fashion Club. And unlike Ghoul Spirit, you can leave school grounds in this game. Considering this is a year before Monster High completely rebranded a year after, you can tell how much time and effort they put into this. I feel like this is a game non-fans or fans of the franchise can enjoy, and I love that. Well, there you have it, Monster High and its many video game and web game releases. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to be as accurate as I can, and a big help in me finding all of these games and information was the Monster High wiki page. But if I missed some stuff out or anything is incorrect, then please let me know. Gameplay footage used will be credited in the description. And also I want to know, which games was your guys' favorites? Which games did you love as a kid? Do you have any fun memories with any of the video games? Let me know. But anyways, thanks for watching. I love you all so much, and I'll see you guys next time.